Let's fire in then. So number 1 is with you, and it's talking about using external web links in notes and agendas. Okay.
One thing that I think is really important is that although this is a very rudimentary web browser, and there have been a lot of videos on that, this is more of a behind-the-scenes browser. But like here, I've created a very simple Google link. It'll take you out to Google, but you can actually then search. And even though it is very light, your keyboard comes up, and then one thing I always like to use is Avengers as just kind of a test. It recognizes right there. You hit your little search icon, and then it will let you navigate the web. So one thing that's really nice here is that I do this to link to my Google Docs. So if I'm in a meeting, I download a PDF of that agenda, and that way I can add in comments and highlights and take notes on the PDF. But at the top, I make a hyperlink that takes me to the live version of that same document. You can't edit. That's one thing that the Supernote can't do with this limited browser, but you can see the live version. If I want to show a sheet, if I want to show a Google Doc, if I want to show other metrics, I can link out, and this becomes kind of a way for me to leave my computer in my bag and show what a Google Sheet might look like.
Yeah, so you can log it. The browser's limited, but you can actually log into Google, and it will remember you, and you can go to your Google Drive links, etc.
You can. And I believe, and the problem is, I guess the limitation, not the problem, is that you have to put in that exact link, and then it'll prompt you to sign in. There's no way to navigate to a specific, there's no address bar up here.
No.
So you can't live real time move around, but you can go to your drive and then click through it, and it works fairly well.
And you can follow the links that are on the screen there. But
exactly. And then exiting out is really easy.
I think that's really like, it comes back to, I don't know if you've spotted me, but going from contents out like this, I'm going to add, I guess, in my reviews home, I'll add a link to this thing that I'm just making here, the 12 superpowers. It's all about thinking on your little route around the device. What are you going to go back to? What are you going to, link to at any given time? So this should be in the new notes here, 12 superpowers notes there. And now I'll be able to quickly go between this link and this link, and just sort of thinking about your own sort of what you need to get back to quickly, etc. I want to talk about like making your own PDF templates. This is my second one. This is what I've been doing ever since the beginning of my time with e-ink, is making my own templates. So if I go back out of here and I go to my Spring 2023 planner, this is the one that I will be using when I'm at school. You can see me, I've sort of got this to half ready to be used as my daily driver, but it was once a Word document, and now it's a note file in here. It's gone from being a Word file and then saved as a PDF, and then saved in the files section. It's been saved in the My Style here. You can see it, Ren Planner, that's the PDF there. And you can just annotate on PDF. This is what I have been doing. But I find that then you lack sort of some of the, I don't think you can do, you don't have all of the table of contents. You can't change the table of contents of a PDF, which is a PDF, but you can have all that control within the notes thing, and you can just make this PDF the background to your notes file. So what I've then done, if I go back to my contents page, I'll go back to in this contents page here is the thing you can't edit on an actual PDF. Back to my school planner here, and in here I can go templates in here, and as long as the thing exists already, as long as I'm not making a brand new workbook, then I will find my multiple page planner PDF here, and I can select what pages. I can select all of them, or I can select certain pages. So if I just want to add my school days next week, I can select multiple pages, and then I can apply and add that as a template. And that puts the PDF as the template background with the links all still there. The links all still working. And I can also edit those links, and I can also add my own links essentially as well, importantly as well. So now I apply And it adds that as a template. There it all is. And now I can still make new links. So select. And I've got all that control that I do in a notebook. I can still add my star marks. If I can draw a star. Yes, got it this time. And so I still get all of that really well thought out Supernote functionality there within that. I mean, I think that's going to be great. I think that's going to be absolutely fabulous when I use this. When I use this as my daily driver at work, I'm really, really looking forward to that functionality there. So you have your personalized, your planner that you've made yourself. Of course, you could buy one straight off the shelf. Voya's My Daily Organizer is great. I know you've got a lot of content on that, Ed, as well. And then you can edit that. You can edit all the things in that. And I know that's the home for this. That is really the home for My Daily Organizer, I think. And that's where this is really starting to take off again. And really, I think the platform is moving ahead of, certainly for the notes-taking app, certainly that's moving ahead of a lot of the competition at this point.
I would just say one other thing real quick on that. As there's a very, and one thing I have talked about are the planners, and I think they're really important. One thing that you lose is the contrast control and the ability to add in like actual notes or comments directly into the PDF if you turn it into a template. But what you gain is so much more, like you just showed. So it's really a trade-off. It depends on whether you are someone who is more driven by the planner itself and need it to be in that hyperlink mode and you're used to pen and paper, or whether you really want to maximize the use of the Supernote, which gives you all those extra tools that you can use on the note-taking side. So it's really an interesting back and forth.
And I think that's what you're going to really come on to next. Is one thing you said to me was, yes, using your own PDF as a planner is great, but actually using the calendar as a productivity tool is what you're going to talk about next, I think.
I think that what's interesting about the calendar, be careful here. I don't want everyone to think that the calendar is the end-all be-all. I think that this is one of the things, though, that separates the Supernote from something like the Remarkable and even from the Books line. And one of the reasons I chose it was because while it syncs with your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar, it's not a full-on Office app or a suite to where you're having to go through Outlook to do things. But it allows you to do a lot of the same functions that some of the planners do. And I think Supernote is really close to making this a fully functional tool that will be able to integrate and, again, keep that laptop off your desk or out of the conference room. So for me, and I use this, it is tied to my work calendar, so I try to make sure that I don't show anything going on at work. But you'll see that I created a note today, and down here, you have access to any note you created. And it pops right up. You can go in, you can open that note, you can edit that note. As a matter of fact, it'll be the same note we just created with the Google link. So that's right at your fingertips. You also, when you go back out, you're still at the calendar. And what's unique about this is you can also write on that calendar. Now, let's see if this works. I tried it earlier. Yep. And you still have your lasso erase. So your eraser, if you have your gesture eraser on, still works regardless. So these are the incidental things. And I do an in-depth video on this, so I'm not going to belabor it and go through all of the things I use it for. But being able to use the daily view, the monthly view, or the weekly view, the daily view, which is this one, and the monthly view that shows you your events, and being able to create events either by touching the screen or touching the plus. The navigation is extremely well thought out.
Can you handwrite on this view and the weekly as well?
No, that's the biggest limitation. You can handwrite on the weekly and the monthly.
Right, but not
so you can transfer that really easily. But what you can't do is handwrite on the daily. Right. And they really, I think, are missing the boat on that, because I think that's where it could be really useful to handwrite in a meeting and then go back later and add it to my Google Calendar, because I can already see if there are conflicts.
I would say, yeah, so if you add the events, it does link with your Google Calendar, doesn't it?
It does. And if you go here, you see these dots.
Yeah.
Those are showing me that there's an event on that day. And if I click on that, it's going to show in this little box here at the bottom. And you can create a new note from either of those top views right in real time. So for a lot of cases, I don't even leave this view. I don't even go into my navigation unless I'm going to go over to the quick navigation bar and go into a large folder, which this has been a little buggy since the update this morning. So my navigation's backed up on me. But the idea is I can stay in this view, and any notes that I have are right there that were created that day. I keep telling them, give me today and last accessed, and I'll be a happy person. But we haven't got there yet. But it does. It gives you that functionality. It's
really interesting. One of the things of my last live stream talking about this was I was talking about it isn't really a homepage as such on Supernote. It's not like an apps homepage or a notes homepage that we're kind of used to. There isn't really a homepage. And actually, if your calendar is your homepage, and you're talking about, okay, I'm talking about having a contents note, and that's actually the next one that I'm going to do. And this sort of quick access, you go back to last open document, last open kind of note there as well. This is my next superpower, is having this sort of contents page, making this contents page and treating it like a contents of your whole device page. It's like making your own homepage, if you like. And you see that people share these on Reddit, don't they? They share here's my latest sort of contents page, my latest homepage, and it's like really makes the whole thing feel very customizable, doesn't it? I think I've kind of shown that quite a lot as well, but I'll just do one more bit of that then. So my contents page here, what I'm doing, as I say, is I'm getting this sort of ready to be used as my daily driver at work. So what I'm doing is making sure I've got the documents that I need. So I've got, here's my A-level documents on here, and I've link out to this PDF, and now I've got this is a full PDF, so I've got its sort of table of contents in there, so I can go backwards and forwards to that. I can go back to my last open note, and most of the time will be my contents page here. So I'll just show you how I make that. So on the Nomad, you've got two swipe bars. I guess you will on the A5 X2 as well. So you've seen, just to make that really clear, that if you two finger on the bar at this point, you get the eraser. But if you two finger on the screen, you get a select lasso now. And I think you can change that. But let's say I want to link to this specification document here. I select it like so, and I've got the link key there. Hit the link button. It's an other file. It's going to be in documents, and then A-level physics, because it's an A-level physics specification, and then boom, make that link, and now it's there. Open that, and now I'm into my PDF for my specification. My quick reference of the things that I need to teach them and when, all the little objectives that I need to teach the young people tomorrow, etc. So I think that's a really powerful one, but that's really interesting. And actually this caters then for different types of workflows. Are you someone who is, your planning and your daily kind of actions are more the driver of what you want to do? Or is it a place where you just need to be able to get around the device, around your notes, around your different files quickly and easily, or both, or some mix of both? Isn't that a superpower? And your next one, PDF comments and annotations. So let's take us through that if you can.
Right. So one thing that I think is really interesting with this, and I've done a deeper dive into this on some of my videos, but one thing that's kind of unique to the Supernote, and it's fairly new, and Kit, I don't know how much you've used this. I'd be interested to hear. But when you're in the PDF, and this is a function you lose again when we were talking about going from the PDF planner to using it as a template, is this idea of highlighting, then being able to go in and add actual comments. So the comments are, you go ahead and you go into the comment, and this brings up you can either type in or you can handwrite. And this comment turns into text. So it handwrite recognitions it, and it gets embedded when you export into the PDF. So the example I give is I've used this for interview questions. So during an interview, I'll sit down and I'll ask the question, and as they're giving me their response, I'm handwriting in this section down here. And then it is going to go ahead and recognize up here. When I hit save and when I export that, I can now.
I don't use that often yet. And this is one of the things that I'm just really excited to dive in and really use this device as my full time at work, because I'm really starting to see its use case. Alongside, we talked about how it sits next door to a laptop and how it complements your laptop, doesn't take over from it, or how, as you're pointing out now, it can really replace your laptop in a meeting, as you've just come in here. I can see that as being a really powerful thing. I'm sparking lots of use cases for myself for this.
Yeah, that was a bad example of recognition just then. But and you do sometimes have to clean it up. But for the most part, as we saw when I just wrote in interesting, it comes through pretty clear. But then you have these, and I preset this so that during the meeting, again, I don't have to take the time to highlight and then to come back and then to highlight again and go back in. I just tap, comment, and I go from there. So it's a very productive tool, and it keeps me from having to once again break up that conversation flow. That's always the part. Oh, well, wait a minute. Let me go back in here. Let me do this, instead of asking the important questions and taking the time to listen for the response. Yeah, I'll be interested, Kit, with what as you drive this. Yeah. I've been doing this for 2.5 years with this one device, so I'm very familiar with what it does.
Yeah. I don't get to live a digital minimalist life, unfortunately, because that old boohoo, Kit. You do get to review these amazing devices, and I'm constantly trying out new things. So actually, my first review of this, and when I did return to it about a year ago now, actually, and I sort of did another daily drive after some updates. But even then, it's moved on quite quickly, I can see, since then. And I'm going to have to really dive in deeper, and I'm really excited to find out that this is a very, very useful conversation. I hope you guys are finding it useful as well. There's some really great bits of chat here. So my next one then, as I go back now to our 12 superpowers, and number 6 is going to be making a detailed table of contents. Yeah. And I think this is more about just being in the habit of making and keeping a table of contents. So if I just show you what that looks like in a document that I've been trying to make sure that I do, not only can you get about this document and the whole device by links, but you can also keep your own personal table of contents. And this has been, for me, the absolute selling point. These sort of 3 options here along the top here of Supernote is the thing that I sort of love about it. First of all, you can make yourself a heading. So if I make a new page, let's just go to the end of it, I can make myself a new heading at any time by selecting that text. I'm going to try and make sure I grab it all. In the big H, you get different styles of headings, which I think categorize them differently, and they certainly look different on the page. Let's try a different one again. And then I've got new heading here. So that will take me between any of my headings at any time, which is just really very useful. Then I can also use keywords. And if I just show you, I look through some of the keywords I have on the thing here. So I already have A-level, GCSE and school. So any page where I'm going to be discussing A-level, then that I can select that. Again, I'll do it on my sort of example page, my new heading page. If I type in A-level again, and I select it, make sure I select it all, and I go keyword, it will recognize that. Oh, it's A-level, look. And I can just add it to that. And now, when I now look at keywords A-level, you see I've got it in multiple places across the document as well. I mean, that is just such a quick way to sort of tag up and make sure you can get to things. If you talk about individual employees or, tasks or projects, you can tag them up and you can go quickly to those pages where you're working on those. It's a real superpower. And then lastly, it's star marks. And I said at the top, treat star marks as your to-do list. And this is the thing, I didn't realize this. That's my wife, when she got her A6 X, she said, I can see how I'm going to use that, because that's going to be my tasks. So when I have a new task, no matter where I am in my document, if I go ahead and put a little star, and that just leaves that as something that I can quickly go back to. Oh, there it is. Go to that page, and it turns up And once you've done it, you can just you can select it and delete it, or you can just delete it, and that is now gone from your mind, because isn't it great to clear out your tasks and have an empty to-do list? So that is the use of that. But Remarkable have added checkboxes, and they are just boxes that can be ticked or unticked, and they cross out the little bit of text that's next to it. That's as much as they've done there. You can't find them all. You can't centrally on the device like you can on the Supernote. So whenever you can get back quickly to those star marks and find your list of to-dos really, really super quickly. I think that's a fabulous thing. Crack on with your next one, which is the global search, Ed.
But if you could swipe down from the top, you'll be able to. So if you exit out of the quick access and swipe down,
over the very top. Oh, the whole thing's gone.
You'll see the search tool.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about this, and I love the keyword example and the star mark example kit, that again shows the versatility. So for someone who focuses that way, it's the best way for them to approach this. For someone like me who's using something else for that, but needs to find a specific word or phrase, if you type in anything into that search bar, and it will crawl all of your real-time recognition notes.
Right.
So anything that you have done in multiple notes should, when you hit search, pull up and identify in those different notebooks. It's a really interesting tool.
Yeah, and let's see how quick that is, because that's a lot of searching, no results. But just try screen on its own.
And I use those, again, extensively, which is...
Screensaver design notes, yeah. Or let's try, there we are, yeah. So look, yeah, if I type in pen, which is nice now because I can apparently go to this is the Atelier document where I was testing out all of the different pen tools. So yeah, that's great. This is searching through real-time recognition notes. It doesn't search all the PDFs as well. I take it just your real-time recognition notes.
It will search titles and real-time recognition notes. So it's pretty functional.
Right. I'm going to fire in for the next one then. So the next one is the screen share function. So I'm going to show you first of all how to get it. So again, it's from the swipe down here. It looks like a screen share icon here. Click that. It says go to this URL, and that's a URL that I have bookmarked. Yeah, there we are. So one of my bookmarks up here is that address, which is 192.168. It's just a local sort of LAN address. And there it is. And now you can see with a handy little pointer, you can see my screen. How quick is that? Yeah, it's pretty much real time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very good.
That is really quite useful for showing your way around. I wonder, does Kindle come through in color even on that? And just being able to share out to a meeting. You could obviously full screen that. Yeah, you could share that out. No, it stays in black and white, which is absolutely acceptable, isn't it? Absolutely fine. And then you can just quickly stop sharing. So the things you need to have right on that is they need the device and the browser that you're sharing to. And it can just be any browser at all. It has to be on the same Wi-Fi. It has to be on the same network, essentially, is the thing that you need to have right there. As long as that's the case, it is that simple. There's no software to install. There's no issues with like trying to find, the right app to share with your board because it only shares to this proprietary app. For instance, there's no Miracast. Does it have Miracast or not? It's just, can you share a window to a meeting, for instance? So a lot of the time now that we use Zoom and Teams and all these things, and StreamYard to search there, and then screen share or window share, you could just share that one window, of course, and have that up in your meeting and very quickly be sharing your notes or sharing your handwriting, drawing diagrams to the meeting as well. So I think that is definitely, it's the simplest of the screen share functions. So I'll put screen share by HTTP.
And I think, Kit, to your point, being able to use those other ways to share your own screen then makes that very, very versatile. You're not relying on someone having another app. They can just log in however they come. That's really important.
So as long as you're on the same Wi-Fi, so that's the one thing you are relying on, is that you can log on to the Wi-Fi in the space that you're presenting. Maybe that's the thing which won't always work. But I think that is the least likely to go wrong in any kind of situation. As long as you can log on to the same Wi-Fi, that is going to work pretty smoothly. Number 9 is commenting on PDF as well, but this is for marking documents. Is that how you would explain this one?
Yeah, I've been using the Supernote for quite a while to grade. What I do, and one reason that this has been really helpful for teaching, and I know, Kit, you're a teacher, so, for me, one of the big draws to this is I like to hand mark up papers. So I like to write comments in the margins. I like to do a lot of things like that gives it that more personal touch. The problem is that then becomes not accessible to screen readers and some other technologies that you really need to have in the modern age for people who may be sight challenged or whatever the issues are. But with that PDF functionality or that highlighting functionality, you can go ahead and highlight that text. And instead of using that annotation file where you're handwriting, you can add your comment right here. Now, what that does, it still allows me to mark in the margin, still allows me to underline or to circle words. And so there's going to be some extra content that's there, but there's also this embedded content where I can explain what may be wrong with a specific sentence. So whether this was, grammar, which it may not recognize that one. Actually, it did. Got me right there. The idea being that you can mix the digital and the distraction. I hate the term distraction free because it's gotten a little changed. I think your digital minimalism kind of makes more sense.
Yeah, I like
the way we're talking about it. Very much focused on the grading here and not looking at everything else.
These devices are focused on the job in hand. They're not focused on grabbing your attention, because attention is money. That's the thing about this, the argument that comes through repeatedly in this digital minimalism book, which I vastly recommend to you all, and thanks for the recommendation from you guys for it. The companies that make apps and make smartphones, etc., your attention is money to them. Your attention is the ability to advertise to you, is to sell to you. Your attention is money. And I do hope that we're giving you some excellent value. Please let us know if you are. You don't have to click like, but if we are, then join in the conversation. Get covered up now. So mine now is using the digest feature. And the digest feature is simply a way of saying, where do your annotations go from your readings? So again, swipe down to get to everything. That's the way to go. And you go to your digest. And you can see a couple of things. These are the two bits of reading that I've done on here and have made cut notes on, or annotations on, or highlights. So I've got two for each. This is the manual here. I have highlighted a little bit, which I'll just show you now how to do. And also you can add a handwritten note, or of course you can add a text note in here as well. So it's just a good way to get back to the things that you need to be like really front of mind. So let's see how you do that. So let's go back through my contents, go to my school home, and I'll do something that I'm teaching at the minute with my year 12. Go to the contents there, and I need to find SPC topic. We're doing technology in space. It's all very, very exciting. How we're teaching electricity, but in the context of satellites and satellite technology. So really, really good. So I can go to my teacher notes here, and I can look for the activities that I'm up to. I'm just really looking forward to using this and later the A5 X2 as well when it comes. And let's say there's a little bit in here that I need to think, okay, that students might already be familiar with combining resistance series and parallel. I need to think about this. This is giving me a little tip here of what I need to make sure that my students are very familiar with and they understand before I start teaching them the new stuff. And now that's there as a note that I can select and add a note to. I could even hit in here if I wanted to. I could draw myself a couple of questions that I wanted to ask them if I wanted to be really wizzo. I can add in notes here, don't forget to tell them this, and then that is now in my digest. There it is. Useful, right? So just a really nice way of making your device something you're reading on, you're making notes with, and then they're always thinking up clever ways of making it quick to get back and quick to scan around and quick to find the things that you are looking for. I think it's really, really super useful. Is that something you use, Ed?
It is. I one thing that I think would be even better for it, I use it a little bit, but I've now gotten into the comments because I like that they stay embedded with the PDF, and it's a little bit easier. I used annotations quite a bit before that. Now that they've kind of combined them in that pen tool at the top, Kit, you don't have to draw the brackets. I like that they left that functionality in there, but you can actually choose whether you want the comment or the annotation, and it really works well. I hope at some point they integrate them.
So when this pen here,
so then when it pops up, yep.
So I've got the leave a comment. So leave a comment is this one. Make a note,
and then the annotation is right next to it. So it's they keep refining that experience so that it's easy for you in the moment to figure out what you want to do. But having both of those in one place.
If you're thinking of buying one of these, then really think about: do you want to do you want to be part of the community that you're seeing in the chat, and folks like this and Supernote are responding to? It's very easy from the settings to send feedback to them. They do, and if they've got capacity, they will add it. If they think they can do it in a way that is in keeping with the theme and the aims of the device, they will bring it, and that's great. Rather than having this open Android system where there's millions of apps, quality of those, finding the quality one that's going to do everything that you want it to do is a minefield, frankly. And when you download your new free app that you want to try, and you have to live with, you're trying to grab your attention to sell you things through adverts, then you just nothing like that on this. And that's what they're talking about in the digital minimalism. It's like, when you read a really good book and everything is about that book for the next few weeks, that's where I'm at right now with this. Couldn't recommend it more. Number 11 now, which is handwriting Kindle notes.
So this one's kind of it's both a personal and professional aha moment. And Kid, I told you this, that it was something that I don't know why it never occurred to me until the other day. My frustration with Kindle has always been having to type in with the on-screen keyboard any comments or notes I want to make in the Kindle app. It's slow, it's sluggish. Even in the old days of the tactile keyboard, it was just not easy. But here, and hopefully this will show, one thing about the Supernote that's really interesting that I just recently is that the keyboard is global, and I thought it was relying on the Kindle keyboard inside the app. And it's not. For my notes now, we're reading Henry V in class for the class I'm teaching right now. I can go into my copy and I can put interesting point. Of course, my handwriting here is atrocious, but it still picked it up. So it worked well. And then I can hit save. That is much faster for me than trying to do that with the typewritten keyboard or with the virtual keyboard. Now, I think once they get the app working with the desktop version, it may even be faster that you would be able to do that. But for me, that's a time saver, especially for those of us who may be older Kindle users and remember the buttons when they came out and then remember the virtual keyboard. It's just a quick way to add that note in and have it handwrite or hand recognize your handwriting right there. So that's a fun one to me.
Cool. Excellent. Handwriting Kindle notes. Now the 12th one, it was going to be keyboard linking, and I think you were down to do this one as well, but it's with the new desktop app, and we've talked about, is the desktop app ready to show? Do you mind just giving us a real quick, can you share your screen and show you how you do the app? Show us how that works in the desktop app and on the Supernote. You need to go to Supernote, and if you search for Supernote Partner Windows Desktop App, something like that, you'll be able to find that and install it. It's still in beta itself. The thing is, I'll talk about this now. I tried it today, and it probably means that Google Drive is a little bit kind of redundant for me in a way, because what you can't do on the Google Drive, if you use that as syncing, is that you can't read the notes. So you can read the PDFs can sync up to Google Drive, and the docs and docx and any PNGs or JPEGs or whatever you have on the device. All of that type of, all of the global sort of file formats can be read in Google Drive, but you can't read the notes unless you're on a Supernote device, or now unless you're on the desktop app. So I'm thinking to myself, right, I was really kind of keen on the idea that I could use Google Drive, but now I'm kind of thinking to myself, no, I think I'll go back to the Supernote cloud so that I can interact with the partner app and read the notes and interact with them in real time as well. But what I also think is actually it's very easy to switch between them. So if you go into the settings, there's the whole sync menu in here, and you can actually very quickly and easily, it seems, switch between the synchronization platforms that you have. How does the sync work? It works on demand, which is a bit odd. It doesn't do it automatic all the time, which I think is probably better for battery life, but it is more, you have to manually tap the sync button to actually sync it. I don't know if you can schedule synchronizations at some time, but actually it's very easy to switch between the Supernote cloud. So let's say you wanted to do a Google Drive backup, or you had a document in your Google Drive that you wanted to bring down onto your Supernote, and you just basically, in your Google Drive, you have a folder called Supernote, and that the folder structure within that just mimics exactly the file structure in here. It makes a Supernote folder in Google Drive with this file structure, and everything is synced, the PDFs, everything. The notes files are there, you just can't open them, so it is a backup. But then what you could do now is you could go ahead, you could just think to yourself, well, I want to make a backup in my Google Drive, so I'll just click on there, do a sync, that backs up everything from the Google Drive, brings everything that's in that folder down to the device. And then most of the time you live in the Supernote cloud, and you can have your notes there that you can access in the partner mobile app. You can access them on the web app, and you can access them now on the desktop app. So that's quite, it's okay, actually. I did think, you've got to choose one or the other. And now I'm thinking, no, do I really need to choose one or the other? I'm not entirely sure.
So when I go in, you'll see here at the bottom, it's got this EN, and it's got kind of this blank space. That's telling me that the keyboard is paired with the device, and then I can go here and I can disable that. Okay, so now I can go ahead and hit enter. One of the bugs, just to be real transparent, is the shift key doesn't work to capitalize. So I can hit caps and I can do Y. You're looking at a 5 demo. So it works pretty quick. I mean, it's not as fast as some of the other things that I've seen, but it does work. And this is in a Word document, which is what sets it apart a little bit. Pretty much any other device that's not using the native Outlook app. So like on Remarkable, that's a proprietary file. This is Word. So when you hit save and you open this document somewhere else, it will look exactly like this. So the first thing you have to do, let's go out. So you have all of your files here, but when you go into settings, and then you go to Supernote linking.
Right.
Now, if you're on a work network, there are a lot of admin permissions here. So I'll just warn you that it's better to do this at home for now, just to test it. But then your device will show up here. And when you click that, it'll give you a pair code that'll actually show on your device. And you hit pairing, and it tells you it's now paired. Over here on the right is where you enable the keyboard sharing. And you can turn that on and off, but your device will stay linked as long as you're doing anything with the app. So as long as you've paired it, the syncing between the device and the desktop app will be pretty much simultaneous. You do get some conflict files because of the cloud being in that three-way connection, but they're working through that. Again, it's a very much a beta, and
it's you can see the use of it once it's maybe quicker and just slicker, and that you don't have to you have to have that window open and maximized. You have to have that screen maximized to be able to type, so it's not going to be that kind of quick. I'm working on my computer and I want to type something in, so like a couple of keystrokes and you're typing on your Supernote, it won't be that quick, hopefully they'll get that there. That's our 12 superpowers. I think hopefully that does really become a superpower. Should I put a little asterisk by that one, or a little star mark? I'll make a star mark for it for them to.
I think they're well on their way, Kit. I really do. I think what's interesting is I put an image in there and I kind of showed some stills of this when it was beta within a beta, which is always dangerous. And if you put an object in Word, it comes over into the Supernote and is selectable. Now, you can't resize it yet, but since it creates a bounding box, I'm pretty sure that's a new feature that's coming. So that would kind of change the way you would use that workflow if you could bring smart art or some kind of bounding boxes into that, and maybe even a hat tip towards Word.